Hi everyone, this is Steve Tatarunis, Technical Support Manager at Listen Inc. I wanted to take a few minutes today to show you how to plot multiple curves on a graph and how much easier this is to do in SoundCheck compared to other test systems. This functionality has been in SoundCheck since day one and is another great example of the software's ease of use and flexibility. So let's take a look at the three most common use cases. The first is opening previously saved data from disk. So for example, if I'm working from home, a colleague sends me a data file that has a bunch of curves in it, and he wants me to take a look at it to get my opinion. So I could easily open that up in SoundCheck and look at all these curves on a single display or multiple displays, and then give him some feedback. The next option, and it's a very common one again, is making multi-channel measurements in a sequence. So for example, a headphone measurement, displaying the left and right response curves on a single graph, or maybe I've got a setup with a microphone array, and I can display all of the information from each individual microphone on a single XY graph. And the last feature, and we'll take a little more in-depth look at this, is using the protect and auto protect features that are found in SoundCheck's memory list. Protecting a piece of data retains a single instance of the data in the memory list. So in other words, if I've just run a sequence and I like the fundamental curve and I want to compare it to another measurement that I'm going to make, maybe I'm adjusting the microphone, adjusting some parameters of the speaker, I can protect that data so it won't get overwritten the next time the sequence is run. And to take that another step further, we have the auto protect feature, where we retain every subsequent instance of data in the memory list. So if I want to protect and display my fundamental curve every time I run my sequence, I can auto protect it, and that's exactly what's going to happen. So let's pop into SoundCheck here and take a look at examples of those three. So here's the statistics curve DAT file. It contains 9 fundamental curves, and I think we're all pretty familiar with how to open a curve in SoundCheck. We can just double click on the curve in the memory list. It will open the appropriate graph and display it. But let's say we want to display multiple curves. We can highlight several of these, drag them over onto the graph. Now I've got 5 curves displayed on this XY graph, and well, let's just go for them all. We'll drag the last 3 over here, and there we go. We successfully displayed 9 curves on an XY graph. So I think we're all pretty familiar with that one. And the next example is also fairly common. Displaying multiple curves in a sequence. In this case, I've opened the self-test sequence, which will test 2 channels of my audio interface. And so in the end, we have 3 XY graphs. Up here under frequency response, we have the response of direct in 1, direct in 2, and additionally we have an upper and lower limit curve. So there's 4 curves on a graph. Down here is our THD result with an upper limit. And the last graph here is the self-noise of the channels under test, along with an upper limit. Now the last example here of protect and auto protect, I have a Bluetooth earbud mounted in an ear coupler. I've taken the stimulus from the sequence, I've loaded it onto my phone, and I've paired my phone with the earbud. So I'm going to be playing the stimulus back from the phone. So this is a classic open loop setup. So let's just run the sequence one time. And what I'm going to do here is actually my intention is to take a look at the preset EQ curves that come with the earbuds app and see how those affect the acoustic output of the earbuds. Okay, here we go. So let's go to the curves tab, and let's say we want to protect this fundamental curve so it's retained in the memory list. So I right click on fundamental, I come down to protect data, and I select protect. And you can see what happens to the fundamental curve that was generated in the sequence. It now becomes a piece of protected data. There's a check mark next to it to indicate that it's not sequence data anymore, and a -P appended to it. And there's even a serial number appended to it because I had a serial number up here in the serial number field. So let me show you about serial numbers here. I'm going to put a prompt for serial number step up at the top of the sequence. And now every time I run the sequence, I'm going to append whatever is in that serial number field to the protected data, and actually to the auto-protected data, because now I'm going to come down and auto-protect the fundamental. So what will happen here is every time I run the sequence going forward, the fundamental curve will automatically be protected and retained in the memory list. Let's find another preset. So now there's going to be a serial number prompt when I click Start. And we'll call this EQ profile number 2. And on with the sequence. So there's profile number 2. It showed up in the memory list again as a piece of protected data, and that information that we entered into the serial number prompt is now showing up appended to the data name in the memory list. So I hope you've enjoyed this quick demo and that gives you some ideas on how to use these features at home when you return to the office. And I also want to thank you for watching this and the other work from home videos that we've produced over the past weeks. There are still more to come, so stay tuned, stay safe, and we'll see you next time.